did you say you died for like a second?
I would say I died for like a second 4 times. I'm
Mm.
trying to be good about like moving towards my discomfort because I think that's the way you grow as a person.
And it has resulted in you dying. Steve,
Well, hello.
how are you, Steve?
I'm doing all right. Pulling after work on some cornbread.
You said you're eating some cornbread.
Yes, I am eating some cornbread.
Is it just cornbread, or are there any like meats going along with that, or simply the side of cornbread?
It is straight up cornbread with some corn in it.
There's corn in the cornbread.
There's corn in the cornbread, yes.
I feel like cornbread doesn't typically have corn in it.
I mean, I just like corn, I guess. And it has a bit
Steve,
of moisture, so it's not as dry.
really?
Yeah, you should try
Where
it
did you get it
sometime.
from?
It's great. It's like a Jiffy box, like one of those 60-cent boxes.
Steve, it says here you want to talk about a near-death experience that you had recently.
Yeah, I passed out while I was freediving, and my heart stopped 4 times.
While you were free diving, so like diving into a pool.
I was at a spring.
And is free diving an activity that you regularly do?
I had been doing it for probably like 4 months, so I was just starting out.
What made you want to get into free diving in the first place?
Well, it was kind of a way to confront a fear. I'm extremely afraid of drowning, so I wanted to learn how to confront that by getting better at holding my breath and swimming underwater.
I like that. Are you a guy who typically, if you have a problem or something like that going on, you like to confront it head on?
I used to not be, but now I am. I'm trying to be good about like moving towards my discomfort because I think that's the way you grow as a person.
I like that. I like that you did that, and it has resulted in you dying. It sounds like. Did you say you died for like a second?
I would say I died for like a second 4 times.
So how high up were you when you were diving into the spring?
How high up was I? What do you mean?
Well, it was a high dive, right, or free dive? You said.
Yeah. You're just going underwater, so I was at like sea level.
Okay, all right. So it's you put on like scuba gear and shit.
Yeah, but freediving, you're just holding your breath. There's no gear involved.
Oh, okay. So it was deep sea diving, but just
At a spring, yeah.
you holding your breath. How long were you under the water for?
Yeah. Around 30 seconds.
It's a long time.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't, but it is a long time.
Were you alone? Did you have people around you who would be there in case if any safety mishaps happened?
Well, see, that's the thing. I was being really, really stupid, and I was alone, and also didn't tell anyone where I was.
You were completely alone.
I mean, there were just some bystanders around the spring, but yeah, I was alone.
So give me a play-by-play here of what happened.
So I don't actually remember exactly what happened. So everything I know is from what the bystanders told us later. Basically, I did a dive and came up, and it looked like I was in trouble. Then I passed out and started to sink. Some guy pulled me out and pulled me to shore, and they checked for a pulse, and I didn't have any. So they started CPR, got my heart started. They turned me on my side to make sure there was no water in my lungs, and there wasn't. And then they brought over an AED, one of those like electronic defibrillators, and it shocked me 3 times until I was finally breathing on my own again. And then an ambulance came and took me to the hospital.
So I'm very interested in this because you've established, even before this happened, that you went through some transitional period where you were not a guy who liked to sort of seize the day, take life head on, but you became that guy. And an experience like this, a near-death experience, this is the kind of thing that sets people off, you would think, into wanting to make more of their lives. But you were already on that kick. So I'm wondering, how did this accident further contribute to this life kick that you were on of I'm going to start taking things head on?
It kind of made me realize I was taking things a bit too head on. Like I was trying to seize the day a bit too much and realizing the risk and kind of ignoring it and doing things that I knew better that I shouldn't do. So
how long ago did this happen?
This happened last October, so this is 5 months ago.
Okay. And in these past 5 months, have you been doing anything that you would consider to be in the category of seize the day activities?
Well, I've been going through extensive testing of my heart, so I haven't really had the ability to, but I don't think I would want to if I could.
Where do your thoughts lie surrounding life in general at this point?
Well, after this, I feel a lot more comfortable about death, if that makes any sense at all. Because for me, death was like a light switch. Like I don't remember the entire experience of, passing out. Like the last thing I remember is standing on a ledge, getting ready to do my last dive. And then like the next day in the hospital, I started to come to and realize where I was.
So you've gotten more comfortable with the idea of dying?
Death in general. I think I'm still afraid of like the process of dying, but since I was not even able to, realize I was dying, it was really kind of peaceful for me. Not for anyone around me, especially, my family, but for me, it was kind of comforting to know that, you're just gone and that's it.
Right, because you didn't have much time to freak out about it or to even think about it. It just happened.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation where everything I know about that sort of experience, I've had to learn through the trauma of my family.
How so?
Well, that whole day of realizing what happened, I had to learn through what my mother and father said and what my girlfriend said about the situation and what they went through.
Right.
Since, I have no concept of anything that happened in that entire day.
Right, and while in a weird way it was a little peaceful for you, it must have been very stressful for your family.
Yeah, especially my girlfriend. I arrived at the hospital as a John Doe. They couldn't identify me. And my girlfriend is a medical student. So she, in her program, rotates through a bunch of the hospital sites around the area. And she happened to be at that hospital in that department and walked in and saw me and basically was like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Really? She just happened upon you so she was at the hospital before she even knew that you were there. She just walked in on you.
Yes.
She's just doing her medical school rounds, and then just walks in on her boyfriend, like almost dead in one of the rooms.
Yeah. So she's an X-ray student. So her team got an order for a John Doe suspected drowning with syncope. She said at the time that she walked by and it was a huge commotion with people. And then she said, well, I'll come back later. And when she did, she realized it was me and said she couldn't really believe it.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's a little terrifying. That first, I want to say like 6 or so hours, like all I could answer any question was with my name. So like I didn't even recognize who she was. And as soon as she told the doctors that she knew who I was, they start pouncing on her for any bit of information that they can get from her. And it was a bad time.
And oh man, that's very wild. I mean, yeah. What would have even happened? Like, I'm trying to think of like how they would even know to, if you're in a place where you're not in the right mind to provide any information about yourself. Like, how long would it have been before your family would even have known that there was anything going on if they weren't able to identify?
It would have been my girlfriend getting home and me not showing up that day and them trying to figure out where the hell I was.
Yeah. Man, how long were you out for where you weren't able to provide any information about yourself?
I want to say like the rest of that day. I arrived at the hospital around like just after afternoon or so, and for the rest of that day, like I was just slowly working to get back whatever cognitive function I could. And it's a miracle that I had cognitive function at all and didn't have any sort of like brain injury from the lack of oxygen or any sort of other injuries.
And where are you now after 5 months? Are you pretty close to where you were before the accident?
Pretty much, yeah. All of the testing on my heart came back totally normal. At this point, my doctors think that my heart stopping didn't happen first. It was probably a result of what I was doing that day. And about 3 weeks ago, I had a monitoring implant put in so that it records my heart constantly and see if we find anything weird over 3 years or so.
Oh, so you're going to be monitored for the next 3 years to see if anything's going on.
Yeah, it's constantly recording, and I have a little button that I can press if I feel symptoms or anything that makes a mark so that they can see what's going on at that time. But yeah, the battery of the device lasts 3 years.
Like
yeah, it's like a little
like
remote
you wear
on
like
my
a life
keychain.
alert type of thing, like a little keychain. If your heart does something weird, you just press a button.
Yeah, it's not like something I wear or anything, but it's on my keychain, yeah.
Does it look cool?
I wouldn't say it looks cool, no.
Can you like make it look cool? You know how you can get like a Star Wars credit card and shit like that? Like, can you customize it?
I don't know. Like a Game Boy case that I can paint over or something like that. I haven't thought of that.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, that would be kind of sick.
That would be kind of sick. I should look into that.
Before we go, Steve, any final thoughts about any of this? Any final epiphanies that you would like to share from this whole thing? I mean, this is interesting again because it sounded like you were on this YOLO kick beforehand, and then you had the near-death experience, and the near-death experience is typically what drives people into the YOLO kick, but since you were already on, it acted like this like Uno reverse card to the YOLO kick. And you were like, and now you're in a position where you're like, all right, maybe I should like calm the fuck down because going YOLO mode got me a little too in deep. But
Yeah.
also, that said, there's ways to go YOLO without necessarily doing like going skydiving and free dive. There's ways to do it that's not like, you know, extreme sports and shit.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I realized, and the most important thing that I realized, was that, you know, I have to think about how my actions affect my family more, because it really was a situation where I was going too hard and thinking really about how I can make myself feel good and experience my life to the fullest, but not understanding the repercussions of how that might affect, you know, my family, and especially my girlfriend. You know, I care about her opinion just as much as I do mine now. So I need to be more conscientious of the things that I do if I want to continue having a good relationship with her.
Steve, thank you very much for sharing your story with us. This is very informative.
Thanks for talking. Don't free dive alone. Don't swim alone, because that shit's bad.
Thank you for calling, Steve.
Appreciate you. Have a good night.
Huh. YOLO mode can have an adverse effect on the people that we care about. You know what? Steve really is speaking to me on that. Steve really is speaking to me on that. I've been in a little bit of a YOLO mode thing. Been thinking about death. Been thinking about the limited amount of time we have here on this earth, and it's put me into a little bit of a YOLO mode. And I don't know. This is not me giving a definitive statement on these sorts of things, but I feel like I can see how YOLO mode can be a little bit selfish, right? You know, like my YOLO mode is telling me I need to abandon all of my friends and family and everything I'm doing, and just travel the world alone. You know, stay in hostels, go to Berlin, hang out in a dungeon, and get like a new phone or whatever, and you know, delete my stupid Instagram and just, you know, go off the grid. That's what my YOLO mode is, you know, tells me. But Steve has a good point. My mom would want to call me, you know, my friends would want to know that I'm alive and shit, so he's got a good point. He's giving me a lot to think about for sure. Ellie?
Hello? Hello, this is her.
Ellie, how is life going for you?
It's going well.
Why is it going well?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Why is it going well? I'm a bridal seamstress as of right now, and I'm really happy where I'm at.
You're a bridal seamstress?
Yeah. I tailor wedding dresses, and I also make wedding dresses.
It says here that you are a dominatrix, and that you orchestrated recently
for 2 months.
a 9-person orgy. Is that correct?
That is correct. That was something I was a dominatrix for a little bit. I'm not anymore. And then it just led me to that 9-person orgy from a sub that I was doming.
And you were doing that for about 2 months. What got you
2
into?
months.
What got you into that hobby? If you could call it a hobby.
Yeah, it technically is. Mainly,
Some
just
people
because
build
I
model
wanted to
airplanes. Some people play golf. Some people sexually dominate.
Well, I just wanted to venture
Possibly
out
using
just
power
because where I
tools.
come from. Hey, do whatever makes you happy, I think.
Do whatever makes you happy. All right, I'll stop
Yeah.
talking over you now.
Completely.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Stop talking over you. All right. Now, ready.
Yep.
Done. Open to new
So the main
experiences.
reason why I did it was because I come from a very religious background, and that was just very taboo to be, I guess, on the other side. And I wanted to venture out, and I recently, at that time, got out of a relationship, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I kind of like what I'm doing already, and I want to continue out, and I at least want to say that I did it, you know, just to have that experience. And that's kind of why I don't really do it now, just because I got what I needed from it. I got what my experience was. And now I'm here, and I just know that I've done it. And would I do it again? Maybe in the right situation, but more of I already did it, so I'm kind of venturing out into newer things, you know?
And what was this 9-person orgy like?
It was very interesting. I was invited by my sub, and we all got tested before and after, just because, you know, that's always healthy. And they were very communicative too. And some of them I'm friends with, but I did sign a confidentiality form because a lot of those people don't want to be known. And I respect that.
A confidentiality. Oh, you signed like an NDA.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can talk about the experience, we just can't name names.
Yeah.
Not that the names would even be, I mean, you know, you touched Katie Anderson's boobs. Like, who is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, unless, I mean, are these celebrities or like well-known people? Like, what?
I can't say anything. I can't name their business. I can't name where they're from. I can't name anything about them. All I can name is just I did stuff with them, and that was it.
So in a 9-person orgy, I feel like, how long did this last?
It was a whole night, and then I went home at 4 a.m., and then I slept for 2 hours, and then I continued on with my day.
So a 9-person orgy, in my mind, I'm like, you know, even with like a threesome, right? It's like, how do you adequately...
It was a lot.
How do you adequately split your time between both of the people? And in the 9-person, I mean, that's 8 people. Do you feel as though you were adequately able to... Now, are you bisexual?
I am.
Okay, so you were...
And, yeah.
interacting with every person involved in the orgy.
Let me put it like this.
Sure.
If one part of me did not have anything, you would just kind of search for, you know, hey, this space is open. Do you want to occupy it? You know, kind of sort of ideal, you know?
Yes, yeah. You picked your
just to kind of
spots.
continue it. Yeah, exactly. And personally, I know my body well, and I know my limits. Maybe not at that time, but at least for the most part from what I needed to do it. But it was a lot of pressure. I did have a lot of anxiety beforehand, but it definitely does help to hang out and like talk to them, and especially communication. You know, that's the very most biggest thing. And I feel like that applies to anything when you're doing it, either if it's sexual or not. But I just think it's always important to just be like, hey, this is what I can limit on, or like, let's go easy, or if like they want to say something to me, I'm more than happy to hear it, you know?
Now, in that 9-person orgy, what position did you take throughout that night that you found to be the most ambitious?
Ambitious? Can I be fully honest here?
You can be
like,
fully
I know
honest
I can.
here.
I've watched you. I'm a huge fan of you. Like,
Thank you very
I
much.
love you more than any other streamer. Like, I watch you religiously, and I love you, and I want to kiss you. But anyways.
Thank you. So you've watched the stream, you know, you can be honest. Tell us what happened.
Yeah. Totally. The most that I did was I just have to put you on speaker in my cheek. The most that I did was you know, 2 cocks in my ass,
Mm.
1 in my vagina while eating out a girl and jerking off like 2 other dicks.
Okay, so I was gonna the thing that I was curious about is how many links are there at once with 9 people? So you said you had 2 in your butt, 1 in your vagina, and then 2 in your hands.
That was all in total.
And then
1, 2, 3.
someone, and then your mouth
6.
is connected
6.
as well. 6.
Yes.
Because 1,
6.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 people at once.
I would not do that again. I just want to try it once, just to have that life experience. And like now, what's funny is like now I'm very monogamous. You know, I'm not any type of poly. I just wanted to experience that, and I would only do it if I was single. Which, I mean, I am now, but I don't feel like doing it right now.
6 people. It's very ambitious. Okay, and so then the 3 other, I guess, the 3 other people, where were they at this time, or were you not even able to survey the room at that point?
I don't know. I just knew what was going on. I couldn't see anything through my eyes because there's a person on top of me. But
Sure. I was thinking about I was thinking about this with like a DP or TP or QP. It's like how is there even that much like space? Because the vagina and the butthole are very close to each other. So, like, how do those 3 people even, because the penis, it's attached to a whole human body. How do you even get 3 people, like, that tight enough to accomplish something like that?
I can frame this for you. Okay,
Please.
So 1 was on the bottom of me. The other one was kind of like at an angle where he was laying on top of that guy with his dick being in my ass. And then the top one being on top of that guy, also in my ass.
So the guys were on top of each other?
Pretty much. That part was only for like max 30 seconds just because it's a lot going on.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of strain on the body, and like so I feel like you would have to everyone have to creatively position themselves.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, let's just try this. It just kind of all formed together, and like it was very interesting. It didn't last for long just because how structured it is. It's not very well structured, you know.
No, it doesn't sound very. It does not sound like a sustainable position whatsoever.
It's not. It is not.
So
but that's why you do it, you know?
You do it, not so much, it sounds like when you say, you know, you wanted to do this as a life experience, it sounds like you weren't in search of, like, you know, you weren't simply in search of pleasure. You were in search of adventure, in a sense.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was. Like, I mean, yeah, it sounds really nice, but, like, I don't think it would turn me on all the time just because when you really think about it, that's a lot of prep to go through. A lot of prep, which a lot of people don't understand. And I feel like that's all a lot of people don't understand if they're not, I guess, maybe in the industry. I'm not, but I know what they go through. It's a lot of prep. It's not easy. It's not something you just do on the go in a flash.
You mean when you say prep, do you mean like prepping of the body, stretching of the holes type of thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me,
if there was no, my body would be in tearing.
People, you know what? I'm glad that you told us this because people, I feel like, don't realize the work that it takes to accomplish something like that.
And the main
thing,
thing
you just show up and you get. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in any sort of group effort, and anything where a heavy amount of teamwork is involved, inherently requires a fair amount of communication.
That's what I'm saying. Either sexual or non-sexual, it's always something you have to communicate with. You can't just jump into it just because it's not realistic. That's not how your body is technically designed to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But with, you know, good learning, good communication, and a healthy mindset and environment, you'll have a wonderful time.
So before we go, tell me, I don't think we touched on this yet, but what I burped. I was drinking some water. What caused the exit of this lifestyle?
The exit?
Yes.
Mainly, because I didn't want, like, my family to know. Because, like, they're also very conservative. And, like, mainly my mom, just because I really care what she thinks. And I hope she does not hear this because, I'd rather her not. But, yeah, usually I just kind of exited because I also kind of wanted something more with one person. And I, like, kind of, like, realized in myself that, like, as much sexual pleasure as this gives me, it doesn't get me in a way that makes me want to stick with it for long. You know, where, like, when I really get to know and, like, talk to, like, someone, I know that, like, all my focus is on them, and I can kind of exert and kind of have that satisfaction of giving that to just one person. And I think that's really special, you know? And some people like to do that with more people, and I think that's even more special if you have the energy and willpower to do that. By all means, do what you can with your own self-discovery. But it's great. It's great. And, but it's just more of, like, self-discovery. And I also want to tell you, Gek, you have got me through a relationship too. Sometimes when I feel like I am alone and I don't feel like talking to anybody, I just tune into you. And with your talking and understanding and just willing to listen, I think that's one of the main things why people like listening to you.
Thank you, Ellie, dude. I really appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that you were able to... I'm glad to hear you had the courage to go out there and try something new, and then the courage after that to decide that it wasn't for you and to leave it behind in search of something new. So thank you for sharing all that.
Everybody should. And Gek, maybe apply this to yourself too. You know, as much as wonderful this is, we always want you to be happy. And, you know, hey, if you find something better than this, don't hesitate to jump on it.
If anyone wants to invite me to a 9-person orgy, my DMs are open.
Hey, you can go in my DMs.
Have a good night, Ellie.
You too, Gek. I love you.
A gorgy, gecko orgy, 9-person gecko costume orgy. Who's down?
Oh,
Zach?
yes,
What's going on?
it's me. I've been waiting
Zach,
for close to 2 hours.
You've been waiting for close to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Well,
I-
here it is.
I'll let you start and then I'll get
What
it
you
going.
waited for? It's all me. You'll let me start and then you'll get it going.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, Zach. It says here that you've been weighing on your own mortality. I figured.
Yeah, death is
Tonight we've had plenty. I feel like tonight has been. It hasn't been depressing enough, and I'm trying to get at least one depressing call in. So I think that we can make it this one.
All right. Well, I've got this really strange concept of death. Like, it's something that you can fight like cancer.
Interesting.
That there's a possibility we could full stop, replace all of our organs, and cut our arms off, and then become less reliant on our body system.
So you have this idea that death is something like a disease where you could theoretically fight against it, as opposed to looking at it as a inevitability.
Yeah, it's something that we don't have to do.
Interesting. And how heavily do you believe in this? That if you really wanted
to
to,
the
you could
point
not
that
die?
I am a full-blooded immortalist transhumanist.
So, do you anticipate that you will live forever?
I sure would like to. Even if it's just a ghost of my brain, if my brain gets scanned and then that image of my brain gets compiled to some other entity, then maybe that, in some sense, is more immortality.
So you say that you can fight off death. What are your strategies, your methods for fighting off death?
Ideally, live fit, eat healthy, swap to keto. Keto is really helpful. It makes you essentially eat your fat cells, which you can create by eating greens and meat. But the whole thing why I'm calling, right, is that is it a waste of time to fight death, or is it an inevitability to accept it?
Well, you tell me that you are a immortalist. You're a transhumanist. Not 100% sure what that means, but I'm going to go with it.
Okay,
I can infer what an immortalist means, right? That you believe that you could theoretically attain immortality.
Yes.
You were about to tell me the definition of transhumanist, and I want to hear that.
Yeah, so I would say it's more deist transhumanist, which is that God exists, but we give it meaning and he doesn't interact in our lives, that at some point something created the universe through thoughtful process, but we're here to die and die and die and keep dying. And there's a certain level of pushing the envelope that humans are meant to push the envelope. We're meant to go into space. We're meant to see other planets. Our planet will kill us.
Mm-hmm. So you asked me what I think about fighting death versus accepting your mortality. Is that correct?
Yeah. Is it a waste of time to fight fate?
Well, I'm not going to tell you what to believe, because you're coming in here like I'm a transhumanist, I'm an immortalist, I believe that it's possible to fight immortality, and I'm not going to tell you what to believe. If you truly believe that you can fight mortality, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. But if you're asking me, no, go ahead.
I saw the show and I saw you, and you seem like you're just kind of here to be here, and you exist to exist. So I connected with that.
It's an extremely accurate
I kind of just have to
description
wander.
of what I'm doing.
I have to kind of just wander through life with no meaning, only to accept death at the end. I mean, that seems kind of lackluster.
Why do you feel like your life has no meaning?
Because what does it all lead to? It's all at the end of life, you die, and then what does that mean? Like, my parents would go to heaven, according to them, and I would go to hell, so I'm burning eternally forever. That doesn't seem too good.
What is your life like right now? Do you have a job? Do you have friends? Do you have, tell me everything.
I had a car crash in October that really shook my life up, and it made me perceive life in a different way, that it could just be gone quickly and without any idea that it would happen. You just die. I crashed my car into a wall going 45 miles an hour and fractured my spine, and the car crash was actually caused by a seizure. So I have memory issues and things going on in my life it's just fucked. It's just fucked. Excuse me. Am I allowed to cuss?
You can say whatever you want.
Well, I just wanted to talk to the Gecko. That's the idea. Is I wanted to talk to the Gecko. Maybe you could tell me that life is worth dying for, or life is worth fighting for.
Well, I was thinking about this sort of recently, and it's like immortality. There's almost, and don't let me just tell you what is and what isn't. I want to get your opinion on this here because I know about as much as you do about life and shit. But
yeah,
immortality. There's almost a hint. There's almost a hint of greed to that, right? Like everyone who has ever lived, every organism, every fucking plant, dog, elephant, booger, they've all died. Every Abraham Lincoln fucking died. Everyone who's in the news right now, it's gonna die. No, it doesn't matter. Kim Kardashian's gonna die. I'm gonna die. You're gonna die. Everyone listening to this is all gonna die. Everyone's gonna die. We have this allotted period of time to exist that was given to everybody. And don't you think there's something a little bit greedy, a little bit egotistical? And I don't know. I want to get your opinion on this because I'm developing this as I'm speaking it. But isn't there something a little bit greedy about saying, well, every living thing in the history of life has had a finite amount of time, but I should get more.
No,
I mean, it's like if you eat a nice a basket of chicken tenders. It's like, shouldn't that be enough? Do I need to order another basket? Can I not sit in the moment with the chicken tenders and observe the texture, look at the juices as I'm squeezing it? Can I not live in the moment of what I was given and accept it to be enough? What do you think about that?
I think it is to some degree selfish of me to want to live forever. But at the same time, the universe is so expansive that our willingness to conquer it would be something worth witnessing.
I agree. And I've been thinking about this, man. I really have, because I've been thinking a lot recently about how there's so many corners of the world and so many people, and I'm not going to be able to see it all. I'm really not. I'm not going to be able to see, like, fucking Lebanon and, I'm not going to get to go to some guy's house in North Dakota and have dinner with him. I'm not going to get... There's infinite human experiences, infinite people, infinite adventures, and I'm just not going to be able to have them all. But so because of that, and that's the reality for everyone. Even the most, even the guy on Instagram was posting a picture of himself at the Northern Lights one day and, hanging out with the president the other day. Even that guy. It's not going to get to do everything. So, in light of that, what I think you got to do is the things you do get to do. The friends you do get to have. The family you do get to have, the sights you do get to see, even if you think they're boring, even just the sky right outside of your front door, even talking to your mom on the phone, even looking at a picture of a dog on the computer, whatever life experience you do get to have, cherish it. We're trying to conquer the whole world, but how much are we really appreciating the shit that we do get to do? That's what I'm trying to tell myself, because it's like, if you can't look out, if you can't take a walk around your neighborhood that you've been in for, however long you've been in there, and you can't appreciate the shit that's right in front of you every single day, you're not gonna find what you're looking for out in the world. Like, you're not gonna be able to appreciate the Grand Canyon if you can't appreciate the smile on your friend's, we're gonna get corny here, but the smile on your friend's face, or a dog at a park at your shitty small town. If you can't appreciate what's right in front of you, you're not gonna be able to appreciate what you think is the grand stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? Does any of this resonate with you?
Yeah, yes, I could put it plainly as the 4 billion year principle that I've lived my life through, is that in 4 billion years, all of everything we know has the possibility to completely destroy itself. So Earth and everything is just going to go away. In 2 billion years, our sun is going to turn into a red dwarf giant, which is going to evaporate all of the water on Earth completely, entirely.
And all the Gatorade, too.
No, I mean, not the Gatorade.
You think the Gatorade will survive the sun dying out?
If humans have the potential, like I think we do, we have the potential to live in red dwarf land. We could go underground and save ourselves.
Well, I hope I'm dead long before the great Gatorade drought of
I'm not going to hold my breath for it.
Well, listen, Zach. I gave my spiel about how I feel about. Thank you for giving me the space to let that all out there, because these are all things. These things that you're thinking about, I'm thinking about them too. It's been heavily weighing on my mind, my own mortality, but and I'm always between these two solutions of, okay, I'm going to die, so I should go out into the world and do everything, see everything I possibly can. And I want to do that, and I'm leaning towards doing that, and it's a goal of mine to do that. But I would be remiss to not, alongside that, learn how to better appreciate and soak in everything that's right in front of me right now. I was even as I'm like on the phone with you, I'm like, in my head, trying to be just appreciative of the fact that, like, I'm on the fucking internet and I'm getting to do this as a job and, like, talk to you about these things. So I'm trying to simultaneously appreciate the life experience that I am getting to have while being ambitious toward creating more. And then when it comes time for me to die, I only hope that I'll have been grateful for whatever I did get while I was alive.
Yeah, I mean, is it wasted effort to fight it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that answers my question. Thank you for taking my call.
For sure, man. That I guess my succinct answer would be that effort that you're spending fighting it. Put that into appreciating it.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Zach. Take care. All right. I did it. I went on a lifey rant. I went on a corny, lifey rant. Now, does anybody want to call in to tell me about a time they shat themselves? I feel like that's the natural point of progression for this podcast. Hello, is this Talon?
This is.
What's going on with you, Talon?
Just hanging out. Warm night here up in the Midwest.
Okay. Do you want to tell me what it is you called in about?
I moved in with my first roommate, and I collect his toenails and fingernails. And I don't know how to stop.
How long have you been doing this?
We became roommates in September. I'd probably say it started right around Christmas.
And where do you typically find his toenails and fingernails? Does he typically clip them in one particular area that you scavenge them from?
Well, it started with the fingernails. He bites them, and I would just see them on the floor in our living room, and it started off with me getting really upset about it. And then as time went on, I kind of just started collecting them, maybe as proof. I'm not sure. And then the toenails turns into a whole different story.
Okay, so you started collecting them as a way to build a case. But then it took
a little bit
its own form of pleasure for you. And how many of your roommate's fingernails and toenails would you say you are currently in possession of?
Oh, geez. Maybe 100 and 150, 200.
Oh, okay, hold on. 150 to 200?
Well, I work night shift, so I get off at 2 a.m. And I would just, he'd be in bed, and I'd just kind of go on a little scavenger hunt. I started finding more and more.
I feel like 150, 200. I mean, if he's only been there since September, that's about, 6 months or so? Something like that? 6 or 7 months, maybe? Is that even enough time for you to collect that many? The guy only has 20 nail producing digits at a time. Well,
what is it? Toenails grow at the same rate as tectonic plates separate, so that's a substantial amount. 5 a day upstairs, and then next thing you know, you're looking through his carpets in his bedroom for the toenails.
I don't know if the tectonic plates thing is true, but you seem like you would know more about toenails than me, so I'm going to take your word for it.
Well, I dug a little deep because I feel a little psychotic.
And where do you typically keep the fingernails and toenails?
I have a little wooden chest I've had since I was a kid. Used to keep keepsakes in it, and it's a little collection box.
Okay. And you're saying you feel a little bit psychotic. Why do you feel psychotic?
Well, I've considered myself a normal guy, kind of up until this point. COVID hit, took on golf, I work out, and just I have this weird obsession with the things I observe them. Sometimes they're different colors, and I don't know. It's just I can't stop.
And do you clip your own fingers and fingernails and toenails?
I do.
What do you do with them?
I clip them over the toilet and flush them.
Okay, so you don't do anything with your own. You only want your roommates.
Yes.
What is your relationship like with your roommate outside of this? Is there any sexual element to this, do you think? Are you attracted to your roommate?
No, he's actually my best friend. We've been best friends for a while, and we work out together, but I have a girlfriend. So I don't get any arousal from it.
Okay, how long you known him for?
Probably almost 7 years now.
Does he know that you collect his fingernails and toenails?
He does not.
How do you think he would react if you found out?
We have a pretty goofy friendship. I think he would be weirded out, and it would be a very weird conversation, but I don't think it would be a deal breaker for the friendship.
Okay. Have you considered telling him that you collect his fingernails and toenails, or are you keeping this a secret for as long as you possibly can?
I think I could tell him, and I want to, but it's more my girlfriend that I'm terrified to tell.
Why are you terrified to tell your girlfriend?
Well, I mean, we've been together 3 years, but that's just a wrench in the whole relationship, I feel like.
You seem like you've done some introspection into this. Is that correct? Have you taken the time to sort of ask yourself why you're doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I overthink everything. I mean, I've looked into the rate that they grow. I look at the nails. I look at what it's going to do to our relationship, and I feel like that's not a great thing to be thrown into a relationship. A friendship might be a little goofy.
You Google and research the rate of growth of toenails and fingernails so that you can sort of plan your next scavenge around that.
Well, it started off with me being pissed about it because it seemed like there were so many, and then next thing you know, it's just an obsession. It's almost like research.
Do you have any sort of master plan, like of something that you want to do with these fingernails and toenails? An end game of any kind?
I want to burn them to see how they smell.
Interesting. And how many do you hope to collect before you burn them to see how they smell?
I would hope that I talk to him about it before it gets to that point.
When you imagine yourself burning them to see how they smell, is he there with you to join in on the experience?
I haven't considered that, but I think it could be pretty fun. Maybe a little goodbye.
Do you think he would be open to that?
Yeah, we're both pretty weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I almost think if you think he's pretty weird, do you think that there's a possibility that he's collecting yours on the side?
I think if he was collecting mine, and I found out, and I'm collecting his, I think maybe there would be some arousal in that, just because like it's such a connection.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are the odds?
What are the odds? Well, listen, Talon, I hope that you find the courage to come clean to your friend about what it is that you've been doing, because it sounds like it's not weighing on you super hard, but I do think you would find a great deal of release in finally bringing this issue out into the open with him.
Yeah, I agree. It's been on my mind too much.
Hey, thank you very much for calling, Talon.
Thank you. You have a good night.
That'd be kind of beautiful, actually, if they both found that they were collecting each other's fingernails and toenails. But here's the thing, is that what I was going to say just now is that if somebody were collecting his fingernails and toenails, he would know. But I bite my nails, clip my toenails all the time, and sort of haphazardly place them around the area. And I think I probably wouldn't notice if any of them went missing. Somebody very well could be collecting my fingernails and toenails. And hey, to you listening to this, do you not agree? Is there not a possibility that somebody that you live with is collecting your fingernails and toenails? Just something to think about. Dan?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, how's it going?
Dan?
It's going great, man. I love your show.
Oh, thanks, Dan. I appreciate you, man. What's happening with you right now?
Yeah, man. So I play a trading card game, right? It's the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game.
Sure.
Yesterday I was playing in a tournament and I went undefeated. It was my first time, so I wanted to come in. I wanted to spread some love, talk to you about it.
I'm very curious about this. It says here that you're 29 years old. Now, is getting into Yu-Gi-Oh a recent thing for you? Or because I feel like typically, because you said this is your first tournament, and I feel like typically how it goes is you sort of, when you're 14, you just have the cards and you don't really know how to actually play the game. You just sort of, you hold up a card and your friend holds up a card, and whichever one looks cooler is the winner. But then as you get older, you actually learn how to play the game and start to get good at it. Is that a sort of a trajectory that's accurate to your journey?
Yeah, but when you're kids, the only thing that I would add on to it is when you try to show each other cards, sometimes it didn't matter because if you got hit, they just took your card anyway.
So you were
was
playing Yu-Gi-Oh with street rules.
Yeah. Some people had life points. We had teeth. Who could keep the most teeth?
Now, did you ever have to go on the offensive and knock a person out to get their Yu-Gi-Oh cards before they could do it to you?
Yes.
What was that like?
So his name was Ian McGuire, and he was somebody that was one of those people who, like, you thought they were your friend, but they would just act really shitty to you as a kid. Maybe it was just like on a situational base that you were friends out with them. But yeah, they tried pulling that move on me with My Blue Eyes White Dragon that I pulled from the Shonen Jump magazine. I was really happy about it too, because it's like, look at how cool this is. It's alternate art. He tried that on me, and I shut his shit down. I took him down, and I took his card. Took his face to the shadow realm.
Can I ask what the rest of your childhood was like?
It was pretty good. Pretty chill.
This
average suburban
seems
life.
like... Oh, sorry, what was the last thing you said?
Average suburban life.
Average suburban life. Okay, so these Yu-Gi-Oh brawls is the darkest it gets.
No, because there's a lot of grown-ass adults that fight each other over Yu-Gi-Oh as well.
Oh, really? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So the one tournament that was like a large tournament for the whole city, two people were arguing on a ruling with each other because it's an unnecessarily complicated game that's very based off of the text. The one person had a judge not rule in their favor, and then he and the judge just fought in the middle of the tournament.
So you are in the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh community. I assume you have friends in the community. Are you close with any of these people who you have observed to be starting fights in the community?
I stay away from bad blood like that. I do this because it's a silly game, hanging out with friends. It's a little competitive. You can have a few drinks while you're doing it, but that's just too much. It's too much effort to be able to put into something as silly as this.
So tell me, what do you think the timeline of the life of somebody who, as a 30-year-old man, is getting into physical fights at Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments? How do you think their life began, middled, and ended? Or I guess not ended, but how do they get to where they are? If you had to make a gander of it, you yourself being one of those guys, because I feel like you seem like a good guy, right?
Thank you. I mean so much coming from you. I love you, man.
Oh, thank you, Dan. You see it, but here's the thing: you seem like you made proper choices, but had you not, it was totally in the realm of possibility for you to be one of those guys getting into Yu-Gi-Oh fights at 30 years old.
Yu-Gi-Oh is a slippery road, man.
So what do you think
but I
brings
would
someone
say,
to
if
that
anything,
point?
it's probably just escapism. A lot of people, may have had a little bit of rougher lifestyle. Just like you were saying earlier, it's a childhood thing that we all got into because it was so cool. It didn't make sense, but like card games, monsters, magic. That was the one constant that they had to go through with everything. So being victorious in that maybe gives them a sort of self-satisfaction to that younger self that's still yearning to be that like level of cool in Japanese anime that a lot of people try to be right now, including myself.
Right.
I feel like we all try to be Japanese anime characters at one point in our lives.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like you've ever come close to experiencing what you think it might feel like to be the protagonist in a Japanese anime?
I try every day when I wake up to be my own protagonist in an anime. I do my hair up pretty well too to kind of look like that.
What brought you to start participating in these tournaments? Had you not played the game as a child?
I played a little bit as a child, and then I got out of it, just like, life and anime gets less interesting as you experience real-world things. And then my buddy just randomly said, hey, you have your old cards, I have mine, come on over. We started playing with it. This was probably like 5 years ago. And now, we have our own team. We're trying to be competitive and be like cool badasses.
So now that you're older, but yet you tell me you still crave the feeling of being an anime protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's anything that you get out of your real, tangible life that you wouldn't get were you an anime protagonist?
Probably more deeper side storylines. I work with people on a day-to-day basis, so everyone's little story makes up a whole different picture for me. And the protagonist, whenever you're watching those shows, you only see it through the protagonist. Sometimes writers are lazy, they'll go like a B-side story going on with it. But yeah, because I work with people in their day-to-day lives, I speak with them directly. I'm one of those people where, they just out of nowhere will just open up unnecessarily, and in the matter of 5 minutes of meeting people, I know their whole life story.
I feel like that's pretty close to what you would get if you were an anime protagonist, where you go up to an NPC and they'll just tell you their whole thing, whatever it is going on with them. So you're, as close as one could feasibly be to living that life.
I never thought about it like that. That's a beautiful insight. Thank you.
Of course. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Dan?
Nah, can I just do a shout out real quick before you hang up?
Yeah, sure. Who we shouting out?
I'm gonna shout out to my friend Zach. He's my fatty. He's my man. He's listening to the stream with us right now. He's great people. You're great people. Thank you for taking my call, man. I appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you for calling, Dan.
Thank you.
I was always more into Pokemon than Yu-Gi-Oh! But I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, so no one ever really played the game with me. I was also stupid. You know what? It's weird how, like, as an 8-year-old, they design these very sort of intricate games, both the trading card game and the video game. Like, when I play them now, I think to myself, how did I, as like, I said 8, but it's probably like, 6, understand like all the math involved of like HP and like you gotta selectively pick this move and like strategize and stuff. It's not like an intense strategy game, but I feel like it has enough strategy that a 6-year-old would not know what the hell is going on. It's not like Sonic or something where you can just sort of hit forward on the stick and jump every once in a while and you're good. Very surprised by that, because I normally think of 6-year-olds as kind of dumb, but you need like the slightest bit of IQ points available to you to do one of these RPGs.
Therapy Gecko's on the line, taking your phone calls every night. Therapy Gecko's doing it right, he's teaching you how to live your life, but he's not really